Got a little workshop tip for you. So over here I've got this pre-finished panel that I need to do a little bit of edge banding on. I had to trim it down, and so the first thing I did in order to re-edge it is to get some the same species of wood. This is white oak, and I applied a heavier piece of it, about 1/2 inch thick. That allowed me to glue this on and clamp it with some reasonable pressure. Then I took it to the table saw and I rip away everything that I don't need. So I brought it down to about 1/16 of an inch. Now I made this over wide to start with so it would cover the whole edge, and I need to clean this down to the finished surface. So I'm doing that in 2 ways. First, I've made this little simple jig for my laminate trimmer. All this does is it creates an offset. You can see right here, this is a platform that rides on the surface. There's my router bit, and all this does is it allows this router bit to hit just the edge banding and not the surface of the table. Of course, you have to adjust it down till it's just so. So I've got it sitting just a hair, and I mean like barely a 64th over the surface of that tabletop. And so that means that it'll just take down this material to just a whisker above my finished surface. So now I need to take it down the rest of the way, and I don't want to sand it because this is finished. I don't want to touch this. I just want to be able to doctor up the edge. So with that down to that point, I'm just going to take a block plane, make sure it's nice and sharp, make sure it's down to a very small cut, and I'm going to lay this on here, and I'm just going to very carefully work it along, and I'm using this finger as a guide so that the blade of the block plane isn't touching the actual finished surface, it's only touching that edge banding. Just taking a light swipe, very skewed cut. And if the grain's turning on you, you need to just switch to going the opposite way. So that's what it's doing on me right now. Check your grain direction. I only need about 1-2 passes at most to finish this off. We'll finish this off by applying some tape to the edge and do a little bit of sanding just on the corner, and then we'll refinish this edge with the appropriate finishes. Of course, finding the right finish that matches the rest of the table is always the hardest part. This is a waterborne spar varnish called Sea Gold, made by Pettit, and it's the only waterborne clear coat that I've come across that comes anywhere close to looking like traditional varnish. When I used this recently on another boat, I was surprised at how close it came to the finish of this particular panel, which is why I'm using it. So hopefully this will get us a reasonable result. I've put a couple of coats on here and I've left it overnight to harden up, and now I'm just going to give it a light sanding and give it a final coat. I make a point of sanding down here along the tape line as well to reduce any ridge. One of the things I do to prevent a big buildup along that tape line is after I've applied my coat, I take a damp cloth and just very lightly wipe that off to try and keep that film as minimal as possible. On final coats, I usually try and remove the tape while the finish is still wet. So here's our finished product. I hope that was useful. Catch you later.